This is my first real test, riding an adventure bike in snow with proper studded tires. I'm not here to teach winter riding, I'm here to learn it. For a lot of riders, snow riding doesn't exist at all. And for those who do ride in winter, everyone seems to have a different opinion on what actually works. So this video is about experience, not expertise. What surprised me, what worked better than expected, and what I had to adapt to very quickly. Snow changes everything, how the bike feels, how traction works, and how you approach riding itself. Some of this will be completely new if you have never seen snow before. And some of it will be familiar if you ride through winter already. Either way, this is about understanding what snow riding is actually like. The good parts, the challenges, and the reality in between. If you never experienced snow, it's difficult to understand how different it is from dirt or gravel. Snow isn't just slippery, it changes shape, texture and grip constantly. Sometimes it's soft and forgiving. Sometimes it's hard, compact and surprisingly supportive. With the right tires, riding on packed snow or ice can feel calm and predictable. There's no dust, no loose stones on top, just smooth, consistent surface. The environment changes too. No insects, very few people, and a level of quiet that you never get in summer. Winter riding slows everything down, not in a bad way, but in a focused one. It's less about reacting and more about feeling what the bike is doing underneath you. Tires are the single most important part of riding in snow. This was my first time riding with proper enduro studs, and the difference was obvious almost immediately. Enduro studs are built to bite into ice and hard-packed snow. They don't just reduce slipping, they create a real usable traction. On compact snow and ice, that traction feels very predictable. Braking, turning, accelerating, all work, as long as you stay smooth. But studded tires also changes how the bike interacts with the ground. On uneven, frozen terrain, the tires don't dig in like they do in the summer, they climb. That means the bike starts following roots and edges more aggressively. If you try to fight that behavior, things get unstable really quickly. The biggest adjustment isn't about adding input, it's doing less. Relaxing your grip and letting the tires work is far more effective than correcting harder. What surprised me most wasn't the lack of grip, it was how good snow can actually feel. On clean, packed snow or ice, traction is consistent. There's no loose gravel, no dust, no sudden surface changes. The feedback through the bike is very clear. You know when you have grip, and you feel early when you are approaching the limit. That makes riding feel calm and controlled, not sketchy. At the same time, snow adds a layer of uncertainty you don't get in the summer. You often can't see what the surface really looks like underneath. Even on plowed roads, snow can hide ruts, holes and sharp edges. Snow hides things very well. Sometimes a smooth surface is exactly that, and sometimes it's lying. That uncertainty changes how you ride. You leave more margin. You stay lighter on the controls, and you accept the surprises are a part of the experience. Once I stopped trying to dominate the surface and start riding with that uncertainty in mind, everything became smoother. Snow riding doesn't reward aggression, it rewards awareness. Cold is one of the biggest challenges in winter riding, but it's also one of the easiest problems to manage. The key isn't to wearing the thickest gear possible, it's layering and wind protection. Staying warm isn't about comfort, it's about control. As soon as you start getting cold, your movements become stiff and less precise. Hands are especially critical. Heated grips and handlebar mitts make a massive difference. Not because they feel nice, but because they protect your hands from wind chill and allow you to stay relaxed on the bars. At -5 degrees Celsius, riding around 80 km per hour can feel closer to -15. And that cooling effect builds fast. Once your hands get cold, fine motor control disappears, throttle and brake inputs become tense instead of smooth. Keeping your hands warm isn't about comfort, it's about maintaining precision and reducing fatigue over time. Winter riding doesn't require suffering, it requires preparation. Winter doesn't just affect the rider, it affects the bike too. Cold temperatures reduce battery performance, voltage drops faster, especially on short rides. Starting power is lower, and the electronics is less forgiving than they are in the summer. This isn't something to worry about, it's something to respect. A healthy battery matters more in winter, and being aware of how cold impacts electrical systems can prevent a lot of unnecessary problems. There are also smaller details that become a big issue in snow. Snow easily sticks to your boots and builds up on the foot pegs. Over time, that snow can pack down and freeze, turning the pegs into 2 pieces of slippery ice. If you don't pay attention, your footing can disappear without warning. It's a small thing, but in winter, small things matters. In winter, the battery often has a different opinion about your riding plans. Mechanically, the bikes usually handle snow better than most people expect. Traction and control fail long before the machine does. In winter, it's rarely the bike that reaches its limits first, it's the rider. Energy, focus and patience matter more than power or suspension settings ever will. So, winter riding isn't for everyone. If you are looking for speed, aggression or big moments, this probably isn't it. But if you enjoy control, focus and learning how your bike behaves at the limit, winter has a lot to offer. For riders who never experience snow, this might look extreme. In reality, it's often slower, calmer and more deliberate than summer riding. And for those who do ride through winter, it becomes less about conditions and more about awareness, preparation and respect. This was my first real test, riding an adventure bike in snow with proper studded tires. And it definitely changed how I look at winter riding. Not as something to avoid, but as a different way to ride. Snow doesn't reward force, it rewards patience. And once you understand that, winter becomes just another season, with its own rules. Winter riding isn't for everyone, which is probably why it's so quiet out here. Thanks for watching, ride safe and see you in the next one.